Namaskar from Harish Mohwakar. In the last episode, we saw how the poem was written by the poet. We were talking about the poem Felling of the Banyan Tree. So, this is the second video, second episode, and we will analyze the poem. What does the poet want to say in it? So, it is known as the theme, central idea of the poem. Chitre has written this poem because he felt pain, agony. He saw a tree cut down and there was a deep pain. So, this pain is the central idea, theme of the poem. To understand the poem, we should also notice the title. So, title is The Felling of the Banyan Tree. It indicates that a tree is cut down. A specified tree, proper tree, banyan tree is cut down. And the poet shares his experience, and that experience is painful one because he loved the tree. The tree was a great companion for him. So that is cut down and he feels terror, horrified. On one side, there is a fear in the mind. On the other side, he might not have seen any tree cut down. So there is also fascination. So both the things, contrary things, fascination and terror have been shown here. He considered this cutting as slaughter. Generally, this word slaughter is used to cut down a living thing, maybe animal or man, etc. By using this word slaughter, poet indicates that his love for the tree is like a creature, like a human being. So cutting is seen as slaughter. Even the tree is so much beloved that when he goes from his birthplace Baroda to Mumbai, because they shifted, he is unable to forget the tree and it remains in his mind. Not only remains, he continuously grows in the mind. And Mumbai or Bombay is such kind of a city where hardly you find trees. So the tree which was there in his birthplace Baroda, and the tree was on the hill. There were some houses also, not only one house, many houses, not one tree, many trees. Not the poet and his family lived, but there were other people also lived there. Now, because the poet's father wished to shift to Mumbai for one or the other reason, he wishes to vacate the house, and perhaps he also wants to demolish the houses. So he orders to cut down the trees and demolish the houses. Now, on the hill nearby the poet's house, there were many trees, and they were one after the another cut down. The old people, they always had love for the trees. They always protected them. They always believed that trees are sacred. And hence, grandmother says that it is a crime. Remember that crime is something different. Some rules and regulations for cutting down may be there. A kind of punishment is there. But crime is a huge word. It means grandmother has value of the tree like this. So cutting down tree is a crime, and for crime punishment is there. Heavy punishment is there. Now some names of the trees have been mentioned which were on the hill nearby the poet's house. Shioga. Shioga means saragava tree, or you can say drumstick tree. It also grows very huge, but it is very thin tree. Branches are also thin, not very strong tree as we see in teakwood tree or some fir tree or birch tree. Shioga tree was there. Ojumbar tree means umro, uh, like berry, like fruits grow on it. It is very strong tree, very huge tree, and when the fruits ripened, they were taste very sweet. Another tree is neem, which is very known to you. So these types of trees are there, and they are cut down by the man. Only one tree was finally left. It was Banyan tree. And how does it stand? It stood like a problem. Look, comparison here is there. Similarly, we can say the tree is directly compared with a problem. Problems are huge. Always we see, we think same way here. Banyan tree was also standing there, and roots of the banyan tree lay deeper than all our lives. It means our life is very small, maybe 60 years, 70 years, and our roots are not so much deep. But the roots of a tree is very much deeper, more than our lives. Perhaps a tree can see many generations, may live many years. So this tree lived a long life, and its roots were very deep, more than our lives. And look how huge a tree was there, 3 times taller than the narrator's house. Our house generally has a height of nearly 15 feet, or you can say something like that. So here 3 times, maybe 50 feet high tree, a huge tree was there. And the trunk, its circumference is 50 feet. Means even though we stretch our arms and try to hug it, we would be unable to grasp it. Such a huge tree is there, and to cut down such a tree is a massive task. Now, how many people you will see to cut the tree? And from it we can imagine the huge tree, 30 feet high. Aerial roots started, and cutting of the tree began with the branches. First of all, branches are cut down, and finally the trunk would be cut down. 50 men. Look, it is not a work of a few people, maybe 5 or 7, but to cut down such a huge tree, 50 men busied, and they cut down tree. And to such a huge tree, when its heap fall, it would be a great one, huge heap. 50 men cuts the tree for 7 days. Imagine what a huge big tree it is. And tree is not only simply a thing that stands, not a living thing only, but tree is a house for many insects and birds. They were living there. A kind of ecosystem was there. And because the trees demolished, their houses are also demolished. Unwillingly, these insects and birds have to go. Look, a tree gives shelter to all these things. A tree gives lots of things to human beings also. And we have no respect to the tree. And that's why the narrator feels this pain, and hence he has written this poem. Ultimately, the trunk was also cut down, and there were rings, and these rings always tell us the life of a tree. Here, rings were 200. It means the tree was 200 years old. Remember, 200 years will take a tree to grow, and we will not live up to that time. So we should not cut down the tree. Today we plant a tree, and after many years it will grow a huge one. It means here the tree might have been planted by forefathers, and in few days of many years work has been washed away. The narrator watches it in terror and fascination. And tree is like a raw mythology. Mythology means things of the past, as we have lots of things in our past life, maybe of fun and frolic, maybe of pain and pleasure also, many odd things we have faced. These things always are hidden in our mind, and sometimes it comes out. Here the tree might also have seen many things, maybe lots of insects on the tree coming and living there, maybe children also playing under the branches, maybe many animals like monkey might have come and have stayed there or enjoyed. These are the things perhaps a tree wants to reveal. So it is a mythology. Many odd and even things have been related with the tree. Such a tree is cut down. The poet has no choice. He goes to Bombay, but the tree which he loved, the tree which was of his friend or past, where he passed his childhood days, is beloved one, and he is unable to forget. In a big city, city is big, trees are there, but not big trees like this banyan tree, and the poet feels it. Now, in the city, poet starts living. He settles over there. But that tree which has been cut down, that tree under which he has played, is there in the mind. It is also growing. That tree is also developing. As the poet is trying to settle down in the big city, he is also ready to strike down. Same way, that tree which is growing in the mind is also ready to strike down. It means the poet compares himself with the tree, and it shows the poet's deep love for this particular tree. Now, how can we say that poet has felt pain? There are some words: massacred, slaughter, or you can say it's a crime. These are the words which indicate the poet's deep pain, agony of cutting down the trees. Even grandmother said that it is a crime. So he agrees to grandmother that cutting down is a crime. It is not a small thing that you can forgive someone. So there must be a punishment. Nowadays, legal punishment is there, but in the past we associated our punishment with a sin. So it was a bad thing. According to religion, we would suffer for that particular sin which we have committed. Now, because of environmental concerns, ecological balance to maintain, most of the governments all over the world have formed rules and regulations, and they have taken great measures not to cut down the trees, or those who cut down, they are given very severe penalties. So narrator knows the tree and its life and ecology, and it was a huge tree, and hence he feels this, and he is unable to bear all these things, and that's why he remembers the trees. The picture of the tree is given here. A kind of image comes before our house. How huge it is. Some of the phrases there are, and they will indicate the size of the tree. Phrase: 3 times tall, 50 feet circumference, sowing of 7 days, massive trunk and huge heap. All these phrases can give you a picture that what sort of the tree was. Then when the tree was cut down, poet also notices that it was a house of insects and birds, and ultimately they are living. It was their home. The tree gave them shelter, and ultimately shelter is broken down. So this is the summary of the poem, and now we analyze it in terms of other issues. The poem is subjective, means autobiographical. The poet has seen the cutting of a tree. It is his experience, and from the poem we want to see it. How can we say that it is subjective? Then there are some words. Look, my father, my grandmother. This is how the possessive adjective my indicates that it is a subjective poem. In the end of the poem, there is one more word, one. Now, one means the narrator himself, the poet himself. This is the indication of subjectivity. And he lived in the father's house in Baroda, and then he goes to Bombay. So his pain is not over. So that is how we can see the feeling of cutting down a tree is unbearable, and that tree finally grows into his mind. That is how the tree is in his mind. He is unable to forget his deep love, deep attachment to the tree has been shown into the poem. Well, I think this is the summary, this is the explanation of the poem. You must have now deep understanding of the poem, which is very simple one. In the next episode, we will also analyze the poem in grammatical issues and other poetic devices. So keep on watching, subscribe my channel. Thank you very much. Have a good time.